For more than 20 years, we have run this private company as if we were a public company. Now, our intention is to run this public company as if we were a private one. We will run thinking on the long term, on the health of our brands, and on maintaining our culture. We will try to make this transition as smooth as we can, but some things will change. Going forward, we're also going to be more outspoken about Puig. Up to now, most of our communication efforts were directed towards promoting our brands, but in the future, we will also talk more about our company. Who we are, what do we do, what do we stand for? We will talk about Puig as a home of creativity, a place where brands can shine and where people can grow. We are also celebrating our 110-year anniversary, a reminder of our long history. And we are sponsoring the first ever Puig Women's America's Cup that will take place in our hometown. And for all that, we're changing our logo to express these ideas and at the same time dig deeply into our roots. You will be seeing progressively a transition from our current logo towards a new one. I hope you think it reflects who we have become. Puig, home of creativity.
This is something that has evolved over time and must continue evolving in a world that has accelerated with digital transformation. The visual identity represents us in front of the external world and at the same time is what keeps us united and working together.
The Puig voice that we are trying to express is both discreet and really sure of his beliefs. There is something which is at the same time very kind of subtle, but it's also something that has a very strong identity visually.
I think the creativity needed to be readdressed and put at the center of that corporation. It has lost its voice somehow and the human scale. Just to keep that kind of human scale. I mean, we were told that it's part of the family.
It was, at that time, Yves Zimmerman, a Swiss graphic design established in Barcelona from the Basel School, who helped us since the 70s until today. For the typography, Yves helped us to choose a very innovative typo for that time, that was the Meridian, from Switzerland, 1955, typographer Adrien Frutiger. Very easy to read, with a natural fluidity that gave a very appropriate aesthetic sense at that time. Now, we're evolving this Meridian typo with certain asymmetry, giving it a unique touch representing what a home of creativity has inside.
By looking at the work of Zimmerman, looking at the relationship with the family, we thought there was a possibility to keep something that was rooted in the history, but that there was a possibility to be a bit more daring and a bit more expressive visually. So we've tried to reinterpret the perception of the Meridian, but to put into something that would give more stability and more weight to the name as a brand. There is a contradiction of curves versus angles that are opposed inside the typeface.
This typeface creates a very stable block for the crest to exist as a more ephemeral or immaterial sign, as a provocation and then like a kind of play of words. One was called Méridien, and then we say, okay, let's make it Paralelos.
Concerning the logo, it is also important to evolve over time, but at the same time keeping it understandable for all cultures as well as unique. The current logo was not the first one. We started inspired by flowers, petals, perfume drops. Many years ago, the consumer used to call it the artichoke, and we evolved again with a perfume drop design to the current logo called the 4 moons or smiles. Now, with the digital world, a graphic design with movement has a real sense. So, we evolved towards a dynamic logo as our fingerprint, discreet, subtle, fragile but strong at the same time, that could embrace the sense of this extra touch of creativity.
The identity, it's built in 2 blocks. One block is the Puig name, where we reestablish a kind of a soil, or like it's very strong and anchored into earth. And then the other one is more like an infinite line that draws itself. And that was also done in relation to the work of Miro and then Triptych. It's like 3 gray canvas where there is a line that goes from one side of the canvas and then the end of the canvas. And this reflects the idea of a timeline that's encapsulated in space. The sign that we crafted and drawn was in the roots of the company itself, designed by Zimmerman, but we made it lighter so it looks like it's in perpetual movement. We try to restore this kind of stability, yet instability, between 2 contradictory ways of seeing the world. One being reason and the other one being feelings. You have this kind of complexity both in the sign on the top, the crest, in the way the name is written, and then also the way those 2 elements are affixed one to another. There is electricity, and this is where Puig is like in between. There is a moment in time where the sign is being designed by us, then it doesn't belong to us anymore, and it belongs to the Puig company. This is what's the important part, that suddenly everyone within the company take this sign and make this sign their own sign.
Puig, home of creativity.